Hello and welcome to this edition of Press Conference. I'm your host, Jim DeLorenzo, the principal of Jim DeLorenzo Public Relations. You can find me online at jimdelorenzo.com. I have found that my career in public relations is my true vocation, telling the stories of my clients and my colleagues in a compelling way to drive sales, membership, and awareness. If you have ever had any questions about the role public relations can play in your business or in your career, I would be happy to share my thoughts and experiences with you. Please feel free to contact me directly, either by email at jim@jhdenterprises.com or by cell phone or text message at 215-266-5943. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. In my career, I've had the good fortune to meet many interesting people: athletes, entrepreneurs, reporters, coaches, authors, executives, editors, entertainers, and innovators. Alan Segal is my guest today, and he has a very compelling story that he will share with you today. Segal has been a certified public accountant since 1968 and still works as an operational and tax consultant. In 2006, however, Alan was diagnosed with a brain arteriovenous malformation, or AVM. After a grueling 13-hour surgery and 33 days in the hospital, Alan began outpatient rehabilitation. He couldn't walk, talk, or read. Before his operation, Alan had dabbled in guitar and bass, but had never pursued either instrument formally. But when faced with the devastating effects of his AVM, Alan wanted to incorporate music into his therapy, playing bass to help improve his hand-eye coordination and reading ability. Alan's newfound love of jazz bass also came with a renewed promise to give back. Alan's wife is an Episcopal priest, and many priests and friends would visit him at home during the trying year of slow and steady recovery. So Alan used his gift of music to start the Jazz Sanctuary, a 501c3 nonprofit that brings jazz music free of charge to charitable organizations and houses of worship. Since its founding in 2011, the Jazz Sanctuary has brought more than 300 performances to people throughout Philadelphia and the Pennsylvania suburbs. It's a pleasure to welcome Alan Segal to the show today. Alan, your story always amazes me when I hear it and when I read about it, and I've been on your mailing list for several years as far as the concerts that are coming up. And it's fascinating to me to see this growth into a whole new area of life for you. And I was hoping you could tell or share with our viewers today the feelings you have and the passion you have for what you are doing today in this kind of a new start.
Thanks, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here and to speak to a wider audience. I'm going to start with one heck of a way. I'm going to correct you on two things you said,
Okay.
if I may. I gave up my CPA license in 2019.
Okay.
It was just a little bit too much. And we have completed 593 events, not 300, my friend, 593 events. And this is our 10th anniversary. 10 years of putting on music events. The question you asked is a great one. How did I get here? Well, I didn't drive, let me tell you. I didn't drive. I got a brain AVM in 2007. And that was in May of 2007. And after I was diagnosed with a leak in my brain, the doctor said, just relax, don't worry about it. You only have a 40% chance of dying. So they then waited 8 months, really terrible months for me to have the operation. The operation was 13 hours.
Oh my gosh.
2 days, on the 13th and 14th of December. I then spent 33 days in Jefferson. Which were hard because, as you well put it, I couldn't walk, talk. I had no sense of balance. I had no hand-eye coordination. Couldn't read. My eyes would not do that at all.
Wow.
So I like to say, I was a lump of clay. My wife, being an Episcopal priest, I had a huge number of priests that came in to see me, or because of her, I'm sure. And they would universally say, "Can we pray with you?" And I thought, I'm dying. I'll take all the help you can give. So they prayed, I listened, and I guess it worked. So I went home and I started the rehabilitation of McGee. And strange, I couldn't walk more than 5 feet. So I started to walk. First 5 feet in the house, then 10, then 15, and I worked it up to 4 miles a day over the next year. Along with that, I had to do something about my speech, which I'm a very vocal person, and I couldn't speak intelligibly. So I would walk and yell at the top of my voice, to get my. Well, we lived in Southville. My wife was a priest at Historic Gloria Day at Christian Columbus, which, by the way, is the oldest church in the state of Pennsylvania in continuous use since 1700. Spent 11 wonderful years there. So you can imagine me walking around Queen Village in South Philly going, people really thought that I was out there. They walked to the other side of the street when I came. They didn't want anything to do with me. So during that period of time, I decided I have to get my hand-eye coordination together. I would say to my doctor, "Doc, I go to scratch my nose and I hit my eye." He said, "You're kidding." I said, "No, I'm not kidding." It was the truth.
Wow.
I couldn't scratch my nose. I would hit my eye. Nothing. Everything was. So I began to play bass in earnest. And truthfully, I was playing the guitar just for a little bit, but I thought the bass was simpler. Nothing could be more wrong than that statement. So I began to play bass 5 hours a day and turned myself into a jazz bass player. During that time, I thought, what do I do next? Here I am, barely able to function. What do I do next? And since I came back from the dead, so to speak, and believe me, a near-death experience will change your outlook on life completely.
Sure.
I decided to retire. I formed a 501c3 charitable organization, and various friends grouped around me and began to teach me how to play jazz bass. And in 2011, we formed the Jazz Sanctuary, and we give music to churches of all religions. We have appeared in Episcopal, Catholic, United Methodist, Baptist, you name it, we've been there. What is the draw, so to speak? Well, we go to a church, we do a music event that I call Jazz and Joe, and for those of you who are more than 25, Joe is coffee, right, from the Second World War. I have people come up to me and say, "Hey, Joe." No, it's Joe. It's Alan. Thank you, Alan. Anyhow, so Jazz and Joe starts to appear, and what do the churches get? Well, the churches get the wider community to come in to their venue, to their house. They get donations, all of which are given to the music programs. And how do I function? How does the Jazz Sanctuary function? I went out, and said to my friends, "Give me money." For what? Don't ask, just give me money. And that's how it started, literally. My friends gave me money as a donation to the Jazz Sanctuary. And so we went forward with donations from the public and sponsors, touch wood, and 593 events later, 593 events. Here, I'll give you a fact. Out of that 500 events, was spent with the same drummer. That's 1,000 hours I sat next to my drummer. Alan Jordan Sr., wonderful man. In fact, Eddie Atkins on sax, Randy Sutton, Leon Jordan, and Alan Segal have been together for almost 10 years, all of us. Just the piano players changed.
That's fantastic. That's wonderful.
So my story, which started with a brain AVM, and I like to say I was dead once, changed my entire outlook. It was time to give back. It was time to share my experience and, let me say, my heartfelt desire to give back to people. And I also brought the music, something that most musicians don't have, which is a business sense. I didn't leave accounting, that way of thinking behind. And I think that's also had a lot to do with the success of the Jazz Sanctuary. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I'm done.
Well, I wanted to ask you quickly, we're probably coming up on a break soon, but before we do, now you have the group that's been together for almost 10 years playing together, with only the piano player changing. How do you find your bandmates? How did you come together with your bandmates? Because you go from being working to learn how to play jazz bass to all of a sudden now you have this group around you. How did you attract them to your side?
Recommendation. A good friend of mine, Steve Kleiman, who was teaching me guitar, recommended Eddie Atkins and Leon Jordan. And so we played together for, I don't know, a while. I don't remember quite how long. We pulled in Randy Sutton on the vibes. And I knew the piano player, and that was the beginning of the quintet. I want to point out that we have hired over 48 musicians over that 10 years. We have 3 or 4 bands that go out, not just our band, they're a Jazz Sanctuary band. Now, truthfully, we play the vast majority of the jobs, but we do have 3 or 4. And in our next section, I'll tell you all about Volume 6.
All right. Well, that sounds great, Alan. I really appreciate you telling us that story and sharing that with us. It really is a compelling story, and to see the passion that you have for it come through like that, and how that passion has changed your life and probably changed the lives of many other people that you've reached through the music. We're going to have more with Alan Segal and the Jazz Sanctuary in our second half. We will be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Add us on social media to watch bloopers, behind-the-scenes footage, previews, and more.
Choosing Medicare coverage can be a very confusing and complicated process. Help is just a phone call away, 856-226-4800. As a licensed insurance agent, I'll assist you in making an informed and confident decision on a Medicare plan that meets your needs, lifestyle, and budget. Call me today for a free, no-obligation Medicare benefits consultation, 856-226-4800.
Boardwalks built for fun. Legendary rock and roll clubs.
This is how we do it.
Casinos by the ocean.
Hippity hop.
Now that's New Jersey. 130 miles of beautiful beaches. Solid rock. And everything in between.
Look in the window.
Now that's New Jersey.
Burlington County College.
Is now Rowan College of Burlington County.
Still the same great faculty.
At a community college ranked top 50 in the nation.
Basically, we earn more and pay less.
RCBC students are accepted at Rowan University after graduation.
And get a bachelor's degree for around $30,000.
Online and Mount Laurel students get a 15% Rowan University tuition discount.
And have many scholarship opportunities.
So you earn more and pay even less.
Rowan College at Burlington County.
Your path to success.
Welcome back to Press Conference. I'm your host, Jim DeLorenzo, and we're listening to the music of the group at the Jazz Sanctuary with our guest today, Alan Segal, playing us in from the commercial break. Alan, that's pretty good stuff. I was tapping my feet and snapping my fingers over here.
This has two extra trombone and trumpet in there. It's really good too.
That's pretty good stuff, Alan. And
can you hear it?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. So, I've always enjoyed jazz. I've always loved jazz. I used to, my big claim to fame was the 3 times I got to see Miles Davis play at the Academy of Music in Philadelphia, and how much that changed my way of thinking about jazz. And I'm fascinated by the form. I'm fascinated by the music. And what I'm also fascinated with in regards to you and the Jazz Sanctuary is how you've been able to keep going with live performances and other ways of reaching out to people, as nobody needs to be reminded that over the last year our world has changed considerably, and the opportunity to attend live music events in particular has been adversely affected. Alan,
that's why we did the videos.
You did a
cost some of that. Each one of those videos, they're an hour and a half, or $2,000 when they're done.
Wow. And what kind of videos are you're doing them once a month, or?
No, we're done 6. We'll do the 6th one this month, and then I think we're going to pull back a little. I'm calling all the interesting, which I'll tell you, we had over 1,100 visits to the videos.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And you put them up on streaming video, and you do it on.
They're on YouTube, but you get them. I prefer that you go through the website.
Sure.
Because that helps the sponsors, helps us, just helps us.
Yep, and it helps you determine the numbers and who's viewing it.
1,108 or something like that. I'm absolutely amazed. Really, I'm amazed.
And you've done all that at the grassroots level. You've really not worked with any production companies or anything else. It's you and your team putting it together from scratch and staying active in the community.
There is no post-production. No, zero. We go in and play like it's a live event. So it's mistakes and jokes, and it's the way we perform.
Sure.
Yeah, most people don't do that. They'll want perfection.
Yep.
Not going to get perfection. We don't try for perfection.
You're authentic. You're authentic and genuine, and
no,
people
live music has mistakes.
Yep. That's true.
I'm going to turn this back on. You tell me when you want me to turn it off.
Well, I wanted to ask you, you could keep that in the background, I think. I wanted to ask you, what are some of the plans for the 10th anniversary year? Because you are in your 10th anniversary.
I don't know yet because of the pandemic.
Are you going to be doing some more, you've got one more video concert coming up, is that correct?
We got one more video coming up, and I think that comes probably June, we'll be able to play outside for an event.
Sure.
If that happens, we won't do another video. If it doesn't happen, we'll do another video in probably late May, early June.
Okay.
I am talking with Sunrise Senior Living, and they're interested in showing our videos to their folks, which I'll give them, and then when the pandemic breaks, we'll be able to be there live.
Sure.
So,
what do you think what do you see as the response that you've been getting from the viewers and the people who've attended your events in the past? What kind of a response does the Jazz Sanctuary get when they have an event?
It's The audience has become family. And the only way I can put it, it varies in size from 25, 38 to 90. They are very, very, very loyal.
That's wonderful.
Extraordinarily loyal.
That's wonderful.
I did a fundraising in December and January because I didn't want to fundraise and bump up against the election process.
Sure.
And believe it or not, I collected 1,000 less than I did the year before, which was 3 months, not 2 months.
Huh.
But the letters that we get were unbelievable. I'll get a check and it's all right. My husband passed away. I wish I could give you more. My daughter got married. My cousin took a trip. I'm not feeling well, but I took time to write you. It's unbelievable. I mean, really unbelievable.
You've tapped into a passion that people have for music.
My lovely personality, what can I tell you? It's you walk in a room of 50 or 60 people and you say hello to everybody. Hi, how are you? Good. How are you feeling? You know.
It's a real relationship you build with your audience and with your
correct.
followers, which is,
That's
again,
correct.
it's that genuine touch point of contact.
That connection
Yeah.
is everything. That really is everything. That's what it's meant to be. Think about, we do work for charities, which I'll mention.
Sure.
It's great. But you think about a sense of belonging, of community, of support. That's what a church, university speaking, right? Synagogue, not
Sure.
church. That's what they bring to the public. Well, that's what we bring. Exactly the same thing.
Now, I'm going to ask you this. We haven't had this discussion yet, but why did you name the group the Jazz Sanctuary? Was jazz the sanctuary for you to get back into the world, or is it because you're playing in sanctuaries?
I was living at Gloria Day, Old Streets Church, in the rectory with my wife, right? It's the oldest church in the state of Pennsylvania. It sits on Plot Plain 1 in the city of Philadelphia. The first concert in Philly was held there.
Wow.
Can you imagine? What was I going to call it? I lived in a sanctuary. That's where our first event was.
That makes sense. That makes sense indeed.
Jazz Sanctuary, yeah.
So you had mentioned too to me in an earlier conversation the work that you do for people who are recovering from brain surgery and
Yes, we do bucket drumming. I'll mention that. There's a lot to talk about in 12 minutes, my friend, but that's a very special thing. And bucket drumming for the Council on Brain Injury.
Okay.
And my drummer has devised this music scheme where you get a bucket from one of the places, like hardware place.
Sure.
Home Depot. A Home Depot turn upside down, drums, sticks, and you drum. You have to see people in wheelchairs that can't walk, can't stand, can't talk, drumming rhythmically, making music. I'm in the background with the violin player, and we get together with, it's gonna make you cry.
Oh my goodness, that sounds wonderful.
It will make you cry.
Wow.
You cannot, it's impossible to give you the emotion of what it's like. And we've also been to a camp, I forgot the name of it, where we had 150 kids, and we taught 2 classes, 75 each. Amazing.
Wow.
We drove 2.5 hours to that camp to do that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And it really does speak to the reach that music can have in our lives and how it can reach us at a core level that we might not necessarily think about until, as in, with your situation, you're making this recovery. How do you recover when you can't walk, talk,
It's
read?
universal. You can't hide from it.
Yeah, and it's that must
There's
be
no language needed. You can be talking whatever, and I can be playing. You're going to understand me. Doesn't take an interpreter.
They see what you're doing, they can hear what you're doing, and they can join in their own way.
Correct.
That's
and
fantastic.
the reason I picked this piece of music is because there's a lot of rhythm to it.
Okay.
There's more rhythm than anything else, which I will probably hear. I shouldn't fast forward it. So, you'll see.
Sure.
It's rhythm and tambourine, and it gets you.
Right.
You know? It gets you.
And was jazz something that you had a passion for before this? Had you been listening to jazz, or is this just?
Yeah, I did, but I was a kid in the '60s, so rock and roll.
Sure.
Right.
I can understand that. That's
My
where.
jazz, rock and roll.
So, Alan, if our viewers today wanted to get in touch with you, or they wanted to see some of the performances and see some of the future performances, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
They can either email music@thejazzsanctuary.com.
And that would directly reach you. And of course, the website is thejazzsanctuary.com.
We'll go right to the website, jazzsanctuary.com.
And again, I value the fact that we've reconnected over the last few months and are kind of working together on things. And I really think that your story is a compelling one, and I'm glad that you were able to share that with the viewers today.
It's wonderful.
It really is.
Think about it. I mean, we know each other a long time now.
That's
Or
true.
Love each other.
That's true.
At least, well, I can tell you, 13 years.
That's right.
13, 14 years.
And we're going to make beautiful music together going forward.
Oh, yeah. You match this little Jewish kid into concerned Pennsylvania Episcopalians.
That's a story for a whole nother day, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. All the time.
Thank you, Alan, for being my guest today, and thank you for sharing the story of the growth of the Jazz Sanctuary with our viewers today. It really is a compelling story, and I encourage our viewers to take a look at the website, thejazzsanctuary.com, and to get in touch with Alan or drop a line to me at jim@jhdenterprises.com. I'll be happy to pass it along to Alan as well. And I want to thank you all for being our viewers today as well. I look forward to hearing from all of you. Give me a call at 215-266-5943, or again, drop me an email, jim@jhdenterprises.com, with any questions, comments, or concerns. I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
Thank you, Jim.